Welcome to the show, everybody. I hope Seth's mic is a little bit better this week than last week. We'll see.
Yours is great.
Oh, we're good on yours. Hopefully, mine is doing all right. What's that?
What happened to your hair?
Okay, so we had a little problem with the haircut. Just to be fair, yeah, it looks a little bit more like a mohawk than anything else. Great clips in Mesa, not so good. Not so good. They actually cut one.
Not great.
No, they cut one side way shorter than the other, and then the only way to get it back was to just cut it. So it'll grow back in a week and a half. But anyway, I would like to, as we do every week on the Seth and Sean Sports Radio Show, it is May 14th, 2025, and as the NL East standings still indicate, the Mets are 28-15, which is the best record, tied with the Detroit Tigers of all teams, for first place in Major League Baseball. So, hey, I'll take the golf claps. I will, because here we are, right? So, we have
really means at the end of the day is you have a half lead to the Yankees.
No, it means that right now we're in the playoffs, which is all I really care about.
There you go.
I just need to make look. My Knicks look pretty good. My Jets look pretty bad.
Too early.
My Islanders have the first pick in the draft, which means inherently they're very bad unless Cooper Flagg somehow makes it with 1 point. Alexander Daig. You mean wow. Alexander Daig was horrendous. I'm not sure that that's the guy you want to throw out there, but Alexander Daig, one of the worst first picks of all time to the Ottawa.
The Islanders take him?
No.
The Islanders blew first number overall. He went to Ottawa. I thought it was the Islanders or Ottawa.
So he went to Ottawa. The Islanders traded for Alexei Yashin, who is sometimes confused with Alexander Daig. Alexei Yashin was the first pick in the... Yes. And then Carol Alt dated before that. Carol Alt dated Ron Greshner, right? For now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the equivalent of Seth's knowledge in NHL hockey these days. Is a 19. Yeah, you're bouncing in and out again. Same problem we had last week. We'll just roll with it. We'll just roll with it. When I come over there, we'll check out the microphone for next week. I'm not sure why, but anyway. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will both be in the same location. We will be at the home of Mr. Kamens. I was about to say the address, but we don't do addresses or phone numbers on this show.
We haven't done a phone number in years.
So not that the phone numbers have changed in years, but we haven't done them in years. So
I took it off my work signature.
Did you? Good for you. Good for you. But anyway.
Text message is 7:15 on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Okay, so what do we have going on this week? We have some baseball that I know Seth is going to want to talk about in May. Okay? But it has nothing to do with what's going on the field.
No.
We have a lot of NBA, and we have a lot of NHL, and we have a quasi amount of NFL. So where do you want to start first?
I think we start with the most important story, which I'm sorry for New York metropolitan area. It's Pete Rose. It's pretty much the reinstatement of a lot of these players.
Yeah, look, Pete Rose, who was permanently banned, I believe it was in 1991, and then summarily the Hall of Fame made an ex post facto rule that said that if you are permanently banned, you are not permitted to be elected to the Hall of Fame. That happened in 1991 as he was coming up on election, or at least the election results. The Hall of Fame said, no, we're just not going to engage in this. We're not going to let the sports writers do this. Somehow, Rob Manfred decided that it would be a good time to reinstate him. Had nothing to do with a meeting that he had with our esteemed leader, Donald Trump, nothing whatsoever, where Donald Trump has been one of Pete Rose's biggest benefactors. I will tell you, after listening to a bunch of people, reading a bunch of articles. Now, in 1993, wrote an article that said that Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I wrote that for Newsday, which is a paper on Long Island. About 3 or 4 years later, I came around to the understanding, because Pete Rose admitted it, that he not only had bet on baseball, but he bet on games that he managed. And that turned it for me, where if you bet on games that you manage, that means you inherently are betting against your team on games that you didn't bet on, because you're going to use certain players differently, you would think.
Yeah.
So I totally turned and said, there's no way this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. None. And I've listened to other media people, I guess I consider myself a media person, other media people such as Tim Kirkagin and Jason Stark and Bob Costas. I don't. I just consider myself as part of a media. This is a media. So, but I listen to people that I respect. And Bob Costas, who I infinitely respect, said this today. There is a punishment that fits the crime, and then there is mercy. And given that Pete Rose is now dead and cannot benefit off this, what's the harm? And I'm there, right? Jason Stark wrote a great article for The Athletic today that said basically the same thing. He's gone. All the things that people were pissed off with him about, that he was making money based on this. First, I didn't bet on baseball. Then I did bet on baseball. Then I'm signing all these autographs. His family make a little bit of money, but not enough to matter. I'm good. Now, I won't be there. It's not like something that I'm going to celebrate. But what's the harm here?
I'll be honest. I'm kind of happier for some of the other players. There's a little bit more uncertainty.
Such as who?
Shoeless Joe. There was some uncertainty on it. Weaver, there was uncertainty on it.
Weaver's not making the Hall of Fame.
Weaver's not Jackson.
Jackson and Seacott are the only. Okay.
I think Seacott was the other one.
Let me, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't exactly give you what happened. We just said Pete Rose was reinstated. Basically, what happens is if you are permanently banned and you die, the minute that you die, you come off the permanently ineligible list. That's basically what Rob Manfred said. So if you were playing in the 1919 World Series, guess what? You're no longer with us. So that means all the Black Sox are now off the permanently ineligible list. And that includes Buck Weaver, Swede Reedsburg, Chick Gandil, Ed Seacott, Lefty Williams. Wow, Happy Felsch. Holy cow, can I name all 9? No, I'm speaking off my head.
The four that I know are Weaver, and obviously Jack.
Well, Chick Gandil played first. Swede Reedsburg played shortstop. Happy Felsch played center. Joe Jackson played left or right. I'm not really sure which one. Then you have Lefty Williams was a pitcher and Seacott was a pitcher. And I believe that was it. I might have missed one, but I think I got most of them. And part of that is because 8 Men Out is one of my favorite movies. So I kind of know all the players. Again, not surprising I would know the players. But so of those, the only 2 that have a remote shot of making the Hall of Fame based on their WAR, which is wins above replacement, are Joe Jackson, who has about 60, and so does Seacott. And I can't for the life of me see Seacott getting in because he was the number 1 guy that threw that series. He was the architect. Without him, Lefty Williams.
I thought he was the final game so badly. That kind of ended the investigation.
Well, Lefty Williams lost 3 games, but Seacott lost game 1. And they had said without Seacott, they never would have done it. So, either way, I don't see any of those guys except for Joe Jackson and maybe Joe Jackson making it to the Hall of Fame. Buck Weaver, for all the publicity that he has gotten over the years, and he applied for reinstatement 9 times, was not a Hall of Fame player in his career. He may have been going forward, but certainly not at the time that he was suspended. I believe that his WAR was about 27, and that's about 40 short of anything that you'd need. So, not there. So, the earliest that these guys can come up for election, they will be on the classic baseball players ballot, which is one of the veterans committees, is in 2027. So if they do get elected, they will be in the class of 2028. So again, I have actually never been to a Hall of Fame ceremony in Cooperstown. I do not see myself as that one being the one that changes that, no matter how much I like Pete Rose. Not one bit. So do you believe he should be in at this point?
I kind of get the short. Why not? As long as there's an asterisk kind of with it. I'm a plaque saying, look, he did this, and this based on the baseball. Warranted. However, based on this is why we held that. However.
Yeah, Costas said he should have a plaque, and it should say on the bottom he was banned from baseball between this time and this time, and that's it.
Yep.
Because he's shown throughout the Hall of Fame. Don't get me wrong, he's in the Hall of Fame. The only place that he's not in the Hall of Fame is the plaques, right? I mean, now let me ask you this, which was brought up by Jason Stark in his article as well. Does this change Barry Bonds? Does this change Alex Rodriguez?
Does it change Roger Clemens? Yeah. I mean, the practicality probably does. Because as bad as what they did, it's not to the level of what Rose did or what Jackson did. So I guess.
But they also weren't permanently banned, right? So there's no impetus at this point to change. It's just you have to change people's minds. That's basically where it comes down to. And so the old adage was the player with the most hits, the player with the most home runs, and the player with the most not strikeouts.
Strikeouts.
No, it was maybe it was the active, the living player with the most wins, the most strikeouts, the most runs, home runs. We're not in the Hall of Fame, and now we probably in 2 years knock off one of those, because I can't see Rose not getting in at this point.
I think that kind of opens the door. Because then you have Bonds, who's one of the greatest outfielders at a minimum of all time. You have Rodriguez, who is the greatest shortstop, one of the top two of all time. And Clemens is a pitcher of all time. Gonna open it. Once it's open, and it's we're not closing that door.
No, and you know my view. You know my view.
Borderline calls that may still not be enough to over. Because there may be some outstanding people who refuse. But I think for the people who would be automatic, I think they'll get it.
Well, let's remember at this point, those 3 guys are not in the writers' ballot anymore. Right? They're all, it's all based on the vets at this point.
The veterans.
Yeah. I do agree with you that the Andy Pettitts of the world, I don't believe get in.
Yeah.
No matter, and he's the only one that took responsibility, but I still don't think he gets in because of that.
I don't know if he deserves. That's borderline.
Yep.
I don't think he loved them as a Yankee.
Yeah, and then you compare him to CC Sabathia, who is getting in this year, and you're kind of like, okay. So for those that are unaware, let's do a comparison. Pettit has 60.2 WAR. Sabathia has 62. So 2.0. Wins. Pettit has 256. Sabathia has 251. ERA 3.74 versus 3.85. ERA plus 116 to 117.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh. Championships. Pettit's got 5. Sabathia has 1. All-Stars. Sabathia has 6. Pettit has 3. Now, Sabathia did win 1 Cy Young. And they both won 1 LCS MVP. But, I mean, you can't really be any more close than these two guys.
No, I'm actually I didn't think they were that comparable. I'm actually curious how they compared to Messina.
Well, we can do that. Hold on a second. Let me get that. By the way, all of these, I'm going to name 5 guys, and they're all very comparable to each other. Sabathia, Santana, Mark Burley, Andy Pettit, Roy Oswalt, and Tim Hudson. Very close to each other. So if you're looking at the comparison, sorry, you were saying Mussina to who?
Mussina's probably close to that. He didn't win a chip. He has one Cy Young.
Oh, here you go. Okay, so no, he has. I don't think he has any.
I thought he had one.
Okay, so Sabathia to Pettit to Mussina, right? There's no comparison here. There's none. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you why. Hold on one second. Share screen. Here we go. So if you're looking at this, right? 82.
Really?
82.
I'm looking at this.
Wow, my voice looks like
Well, part of it is right here, right? He has 250 less, almost 300 less walks than Sabathia. So
everything else is incredibly comparable.
Yeah, but they pitch. I think part of it is they pitched at a different era. And he also was a much better fielder. 7 Golden Gloves.
He was the best fielder of his generation.
So, not saying that. I get it. Mussina pitched a little bit before Sabathia, right? A little bit, right? So, but and Mussina was not a first. I don't think he was first ballot. He got in, but I think it was second.
He got in on the second.
Yeah.
But Sabathia, the other thing is Sabathia versus Sabathia was also the pitching against a lot of the pitchers. It was very rarely the ace.
Yeah. Well, by the way, one of the other things is Mussina also had 23 shutouts. Pettit had 4. I mean, he pitched more. It looks like he pitched more innings. He pitched 200. He pitched an extra season, basically, of innings against Mussina. And again, that's not against Pettit.
People weren't pitching as many complete games in the 2000s as they were in the early 90s.
Agreed. Like I said, that's probably where that comes from. You were looking at where the difference is. That's where I think it came from. Look, Pete Rose is a conversational topic whenever you need a conversation to have. And for that reason and that reason alone, that may be baseball's shining light in this discussion, right? Is he no longer benefits, but now you can have that discussion and baseball's on your mind. Because I will tell you flat out, you and I would probably not be talking baseball at all today. If that wasn't the case, right? Okay, moving on to my Go New York, Go, who may wrap it up tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern. I don't think they will. I think they're going to lose in the Garden. I think they're going to wrap it up in game 6. I did find it odd. So, Jason Tatum, unfortunate, right? Incredibly unfortunate. Disastrous. Jason Tatum, for all the crap that I give him, is a top 5 player in the NBA. He has been a first team, all NBA team.
I'd say top.
Okay, but he's been a first team all NBA team for 4 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah,
He's
fantastic.
He's fantastic, right? And he was lights out on Monday night. I mean, I didn't think the Knicks.
The rest of the team have to show up.
Yeah, I didn't think the Knicks were going to win because I didn't think that guy could miss a shot. Everything he was doing.
You didn't think they were going to win when he got hurt?
No, at the end of the third quarter, I thought that they were going to lose.
The Knicks and the Celtics.
I thought the Knicks were going to lose. Like, it took like half the fourth quarter for me to actually believe. I didn't think Tatum could miss a shot, and he wasn't missing anything. And he wasn't barely hitting these shots. These shots were hitting just net. No matter he and Jokic are the 2 most impressive players in the playoffs so far. And yeah.
No, because he hasn't been great the rest of the playoffs. He wasn't great the first couple of games. And I'm not sure being great against Orlando was really anything to.
Okay, fair. Okay, fair. So, but he's out, and I think Stephen A. Smith's comment, I believe it was him that said this, when somebody said, so who's going to lead the Celtics now? They're like, well, you're not paying Jaylen Brown $60 million to sit on the bench. And he was benched in the last game. He has played awful for the guy that I thought was the best contract in basketball for a really long time. And by the way, that's not a moniker you want. You can look at Ty Jerome since the last time
I actually think he's probably the best guy.
Yeah. Well, it's not a moniker you want from me because every time I say it, somebody just goes downhill. And starting with Jaylen Brown, and then I think it was 3 weeks ago, I said Ty Jerome. And Ty Jerome may not even be on the Cavs after what he did in this year's playoffs. So
they have our issues.
Well, and so not to take anything away from the Knicks, okay, where the Knicks will probably wind up playing the Pacers in the next round. The Celtics have a lot of off-season concerns right now. So they were already in the second tier. They were already in the second apron, right? We talked about that. Mm-hmm. And now their whole team was based on the health of Jason Tatum, much the same way as every other team is based on the health of your superstar. I'm not taking this away from anybody else. But the fact is, because they don't have him, they're spending, and they will get $27 million back on the cap, but that's not on the luxury tax. It still counts. His whole $56 million counts.
Right.
They are paying $500 million to a team next year that can't win without him.
Nope.
So now the question is, what can you do? And you're not trading Brown because I don't think anybody
wants him.
Right, everybody wanted him at 25. Nobody wants him at 60.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday's at 30. I'm not sure anybody wants him at 30.
And his age, you're not sure of that.
Yeah, you don't know what KP is bringing to the park considering he's been hurt how many times. And the sickness, supposedly, according to some, maybe long COVID. And then it's Derek White. That's it. And that's without re-signing not Sam Hauser, Al Horford, and there was one other guy. That's without re-signing those guys. Al Horford, I think, is done. I think he's probably going to retire at the end of this year.
No, supposedly he doesn't.
Well, I can't see it. He will cost the Celtics, if he re-signs for $10 million, he will cost them $50 million.
Yeah, I get the problem. I don't think he will retire out of choice.
Okay, that's fair in its own right. So, did you watch any of the Cavs last night?
A little. I felt sad for them actually. They looked even when they were up 16, 15, whatever. They looked great. They just looked dead. And once it was over. it's all credit to Indiana. But I would have liked to see if Cleveland had been healthy, and look, it's a big F. And not that I'm the world's biggest Cleveland fan, but I would have liked to see that at a full-fledged high level. And it didn't feel like Cleveland really had much left going into that year.
And now they have problems too.
Yes, they do.
And I was listening today to somebody, I don't remember who it was, I think it was Brian Windhorst, that said, if you're the Lakers, how are you not making a call to the Cavs and saying, hey, what do you want for Jared Allen?
Jared Allen.
Because I don't think they're trading Mobley. I don't think that that's a thing that they can do, considering he's 25 and he's the defensive player of the year. But, yeah, I mean, Jared Allen would be a perfect fit with the Lakers. I don't know what the Lakers could give up for him, but it would solve some of the salary problems that Cleveland has.
You're letting us
DeAndre Hunter, you mean?
Yeah.
If you're bringing in who?
Austin Reeves.
Well, I don't think Austin Reeves would be that guy, but I don't think Austin. They could trade Connect and the first round picks. I don't think they want another $15 million. Like that's part of the problem. So DeAndre Hunter has two more years on his contract at $23 million apiece, give or take.
Okay.
So if you trade Jared Allen, let's play your game, right? You trade Jared Allen, who I believe has $20 million, but I'll check it right now. Oh no, he signed a new deal. Hold on a second. I'll get it right now. So Jared Allen has 32, between 30 and 32, so 28, 32. So if you put together $52 million, combining Jared Allen and DeAndre Hunter, right? Then Reeves has to go. But there's nobody else on that team. So you can't. I don't think you could put all that together. Even if you put just Jared Allen for Reeves, you're both. The Lakers are under the tax, so that may work. You'd have to add a couple of small pieces, maybe a Rui, right? Yeah. Rui and Reeves, Reeves, and a number one for Jared Allen, maybe.
Who's the first guy?
Rui Hachimura.
Hachimura.
I don't know if that makes you better. Gives you interior, but Jared Allen has never been a defensive player. I mean, that's the reason why Mobley does so well. I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I just don't see you have a Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell backcourt, which does not work. It does not work for 1,000 reasons, but it does not work.
Right. The problem is it's a $400 million backcourt.
Right. And the spot where Darius Garland was best suited is gone. And that was San Antonio. Which we'll get to in a second because they got good problems. Not bad problems, they got good problems.
They got good trouble.
They got good trouble. So where does he go? Right? Who needs a point guard? And who can pay for a point guard? You look at Utah and you say maybe a reverse Donovan Mitchell deal where you actually get a number one in Utah. You look at Portland and you say, maybe that'll work for Scoot Henderson or something along those lines. I don't see many places where Darius Garland fits as a 6'1" small point guard. For the same reason he doesn't fit with Cleveland. I mean, that's the problem that you have.
It's
all right.
That contract is just rough. He's a nice player. That's a lot.
Yeah. All right. So talk to me. So for the first time, first of all, the contract for Darius Garland, I believe, is 31, but nope, it is 34. 34, 36, 39. He's got 4 more years on that deal. All right. For the first time since I can remember, Giannis has said, I'm open somewhere else. I'm open to going somewhere else. Instinctively, my brain, looking back on Joe Mauer, wants him to stay in Milwaukee.
Agreed. We all would prefer him. But that team is going nowhere.
That team is going nowhere, and he's 31. If he was 28, there would be a different play. But he's 31. So he's giving up his 31 year, right, no matter what, if he stays in Milwaukee. He might be giving up his 32 year. And he may have incredible stats. You and I talked offline about this. If he has a usage rate of 39%, which is what he was in the last 15 games, he could put up numbers nobody has ever seen outside of Will Chamberlain. But and when we say numbers that nobody has ever seen, I think we put Wilt in a different category than everybody else.
Because era-wise, it must really don't work.
Right. And the numbers are just mind-boggling what he does.
Right.
And by the way, the only person that's doing what Jokic has ever done is Will Chamberlain. So, I mean, now it's the Wilt and Jokic show, not just Wilt. Which is nice to see that somebody can do that. But anyway, so we had our NBA lottery, which didn't exactly soften the matter of where Giannis could go. In fact, it might have enhanced that. We'd all like him to stay in Milwaukee. If you're looking at San Antonio and saying, wouldn't that look fun? I think everybody's looking at San Antonio and saying, wouldn't that look fun? I mean, so San Antonio gets the number 2 pick in the draft, and they don't need a point guard. And the number 2 pick in the draft will be a point guard. Unless they trade it.
Likely it's either Edgecombe or it's Harper.
Right. From all reports I have seen, it's Harper. But it may be Edgecombe. That's fine. All right. So they have DeAndre Fox, who they just acquired. They have Stephen Castle, who's also a point guard, masquerading as a 2 guard. And now they're going to get this guy from Rutgers, in my opinion. So they're going to have... It's a nice problem to have. It truly is. But if you... And they have, by the way, the Hawks picks for like the next 2 years or next 3 years. Including a swap. So if you're Milwaukee, you have one of 2 options here. You can either trade for picks, and guess what? That doesn't work. Because your picks are owned by the New Orleans Pelicans. So it does not matter what you do. So you can either make a 3-team trade and try and get those back. Oh, we know somebody that did that, the Brooklyn Nets, and we saw how that worked, right? Getting the number 8 pick. Or you can go get decent, good, younger players and a couple of picks instead of getting the 9 first-round picks from the players. I see one team and one team only that will do that, and that has those players. And that is the Spurs of San Antonio.
I thought you were going to go with Houston. But yeah, I mean... Yeah.
Well, if you can get the number, let's take Castle out of the mix. Let's say you keep your lineup basically the way it is, and you add the number 2 pick. So it's Harper, right? Harper's got to go. Okay, Devin Vassell, and all the Hawks picks. That get it done?
That may do it.
That may get it done. I like your Rockets. I like the Rockets. I just don't see the Rockets as the right fit. And at the okay, that's not true. Giannis makes it fit. So you're gonna work around Giannis.
Agreed. I mean, look, the 3 teams we had talked about previously, the 3 teams that made the most sense were San Antonio, Houston, and Oklahoma.
Yep, and they still do.
And Oklahoma's contingent on how this season goes.
Yep.
But also what happens to Oklahoma if they trade for Giannis unless you trade Holmgren? I don't think you're doing. You're literally going to have 4 guys with over $50 million.
Well, you could trade Jay Will instead.
You could, but the difference is Giannis is more of an overplay of Holmgren than he is of Williams, who's really their threat. They don't have someone really that plays that way. Oklahoma has Hardenstein and Giannis. Not saying that Harden is not above Hardenstein, but there is support there.
Yep. Well, you're also going to get very, very expensive very, very quickly. And Hardenstein has a front-loaded contract so they can, and a non-guaranteed third year. So once the J. Will, Holmgren, and Shea max-out contracts come up, Hardenstein won't be there anymore. They're planning for Hardenstein not to be there. So let's presume Hardenstein's not there, right? Let's play it that way. So you could trade J. Will or Holmgren, and you have obviously some fodder there, right? But Seth, that's the picks game. That's not the young player game. You can't do one young player and do that. So if you're looking at the picks that this Oklahoma City have, right? And I know they have everybody's picks, and that's actually the best part about dealing with Oklahoma City is you can pick which picks you want, right?
You don't really want picks. They're all
Right.
going to be in the mid.
So let's talk about the 2025 picks. Okay, they get Miami's pick. Okay, that's number 15. Nah. Are you real? Do you want that pick?
Yeah.
Not really, right? 15? That's not what you're trading Giannis for. You're not trading Giannis for a 15th pick in this year's draft. You're looking for a lottery pick, right? The lottery crap. Okay. You have Philadelphia's 2026 pick protected 1 through 4. I think Philadelphia, if they're healthy, and again, it's always if they're healthy, and they have the number 3 pick in the draft again this year, that's a 20s pick. That's a 20s pick. You got Utah protected 1 through 8. That's not a quality pick. You don't care. Because if Utah's number 9, you don't care. That's not the pick you want. So let's keep going. You have in 2026, so those are your 2026. Now you're into 2027. You have the right to swap with the Clippers. Okay, that's not a bet, but it's protected 1 through 5. So again, your max out is the 6th pick in the draft. Denver protected 1 through 5. Again, max is a 6. 2028, you have the right to swap with the 2028 first-round pick for Dallas. Well, that looked really, really good until Monday night. In 2028, now we're into 2029. So now you're 5 years down, right? Yeah. You have a Denver pick, you have a Boston pick, and you have a Miami pick. Those are second rounds. So the rest of them are second rounders. So you're betting on if you're going to Oklahoma City, you're betting on teams sucking, but not sucking enough, and you're not getting a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, but I guess the question is, if you're looking at San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, okay, number 2 pick has either Castle or the number 2 pick has to be part of it.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Sorry, just. And then you're looking at. Are you not looking at both? You're looking at one or the other. Plus veteran Vassell, Harrison Barnes, whoever.
No, you're trading Devin Vassell because he's got $30 million. Yep.
So you're looking at we'll just say for our purposes, Vassell, and 3 first-round picks.
Okay.
Wouldn't you? I guess to me, again, you don't know what these picks are going to be. If they're San Antonio pick, if you're talking their 5 is Giannis, Bailey, Harper, Wemby, and De'Aaron Fox. I don't want these picks. These picks are going to be number 28.
No, so San Antonio San Antonio has the 14th pick from the Hawks this year. Again, that's inconsequential. Next year they have an uncapped swap with Atlanta. That's not great, but it's not horrible.
Yeah, Atlanta's
Atlanta's
not
unless
going
they
to
pull a Mavericks,
Right.
they're not going to be a top 3 pick.
In 2028, they have an uncapped swap except for number 1 with Boston. They also have an uncapped swap. They have the uncapped pick with Minnesota.
All right. Well, Minnesota's not. Minnesota's young and talented.
And in 2027, they have an uncapped pick with Atlanta. That's a pick. I like that pick, the 2027 pick. But again, that the Spurs.
Who would you rather have?
Williams or Castle and Vassell?
I'd rather have Williams.
But remember, you can't bottom out. They're not your picks. So if you're getting Williams, right? And you have to.
All-star in the East.
Okay, and you also but
valuable.
This is the best senior player you get.
right. Okay, but hold on a second. I get what you're saying. He's the best player right now, right? No question. Okay. You're banking on Castle being able to get to that level, potentially, right? And Vassell is a little bit less than that level. So you're trading. Hold on. So Devin Vassell this year, 16 points, 4 boards, 3 assists.
Okay.
Jalen Williams was better. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. You know that. Hold on. Hold on a second. I'm getting it. I can't get it for some reason. Anyway. I think my internet is screwing up. But anyway, so I get your point. He's the best player there, right? No question about it. And so are you looking for today or are you looking for later, I guess?
Jalen Williams is
I don't know.
22. Jalen Williams is 22.
21 points, 5 and 5. 21, 5 and 5. Yep.
Yeah, he's 20.
And if he's going to sign a max contract in Milwaukee, but then you have the same problem with perhaps Jalen Williams, where he doesn't want to stay in Milwaukee. Right? Devin Vassell is signed.
You don't want picks.
No. I'm saying that the situation for the Spurs is a better trade for the Bucks than the Thunder. And I think you're right in that if Giannis fits well with the Rockets, that's the best trade. I'm just not sure if the Rockets are willing to do it.
They said they are.
Well,
They're giving up is interesting. Because you have I guess Sengun. I think you're gonna have to give him up. I think, to be honest. The positions are too similar. I assume you're giving it him, Thompson, which is your young talent. Maybe one other either Jabari or Easton. And one or two.
Oh, I don't think you're giving up all that. I think you're giving up Jalen Green, Reed Shepherd, Jalen Green because you need salary. And I don't think Şengün and Giannis play the same position. In fact, I don't think they play anywhere close to the same position. Şengün is more like Jokic, and Giannis is a driver. So I'll go with Reed Shepherd, the number 3 pick from last year. Jalen Young. Phoenix is Jalen Green. Excuse me, Jalen Green. Phoenix.
Why would you want Shepherd in?
Well, Shepherd is a young 22-year-old.
Right. And Green, but they're similar to two guards. I was going to want two guards.
That's fair.
Why does anyone want Green's contract?
Well, the whole point is you have to meet $50 million in the contract. So figure out how you get there.
Okay.
And without Fred VanVleet, there is no ballast. So there's your ballast, unless you're trading Şengün. And if you trade Şengün, I don't think the Rockets trade Şengün in this. But that's just me. So the thing about Houston is they have Phoenix's pick unrestricted in 2027. They also have Memphis's pick in 2027, no protections, and they have Phoenix's pick in 2029. So they could trade 2027 Phoenix, 2029 Phoenix, Reed Shepard, and some ballast, or Jalen Green and something else.
Ballast.
No, ballast. Ballast means weight. So some weight of contracts.
Okay.
It's a term. It's a ballast. Sorry, it's a boating term. You put ballast on the ship, so
I'm not a boater.
obviously neither am I, but it's ballast. Anyway, there is no player in the NBA, Seth, named Ballast. That is true.
There's only a GM for the call.
Correct. That's Ballard. All right, we got 15 minutes, so we'll get into more of Giannis next week. Let's talk a little bit about the West, though. Did you get to watch any of the Denver game last night?
Not last night. I heard it was excellent.
It was in the spirit of these are the shots that make people's careers. I think there were 3 of them last night in the same game. You had a Jokic shot which had like a 99.9% possibility of missing, and he hit it. And truth be told, we've become accustomed to that, right? That's kind of what he does. When he hits a 70-footer with his left hand, you're kind of like, okay. Then you have Jalen Williams, who had an amazing shot. I don't know if you're taking a picture of the screen, but I'm seeing your phone. But
No, sorry.
Then you have Jalen Williams, who had an amazing shot. And then you had Shea, who had another amazing shot. And by the way, welcome to the party, Alex Caruso and Lou Dort, who finally have shown up and play defense for those teams. Seth, this reminds me of an NBA Finals. This series. And I hope it goes 7, because I can't imagine Jokic going back to Denver and saying, yeah, I'm good. We don't need it, right? We don't need it. But I also think that this has exposed a little bit the Thunder. They don't like to be hit. They don't like to be punched in the mouth. Holmgren cannot play, not that anybody can play one-on-one with Jokic, but he doesn't have the size to do that. He doesn't have the size to play. I would be concerned if I were the Thunder about putting Holmgren on Karl Anthony Towns. Or anybody big. Which kind of limits what they can do, because Chet is supposed to be the center, with Hartenstein being like the backup, right? Or being the side piece. Because that sounded bad. But but being the side by side, better. But the fact is, now if you play a big enough center, and trust me, Rudy Gobert is going to be a big enough center, I think that series is going to be phenomenal. I think I'm going to love watching Minnesota play Oklahoma City.
Because it feels like more to Indiana. This is Minnesota just took a long time to get their bearings.
Yeah.
But by the way, why do you feel like we're the only people who took Minnesota to beat the Lakers?
I don't know.
That's what all the... I mean, I've been watching all the stuff. I thought that was a pretty easy call.
Yep. Well, I will tell you, Julius Randle has played himself into a new contract because he has been sensational in these playoffs, and he'll probably be re-signed in Minnesota. Like they love, from what I've been watching, he's fit. He is the number 2 option on that team, and been playing very well.
Exactly what should.
Yep. And so they're just waiting, right? Minnesota
thinks would be fun.
And it would be great for me because I would technically win either way, but I wouldn't win as much one way. No, what would the best part about that is that the Knicks would have Game 7 in the Garden if it ever came down to it.
They would.
Much the same way as much the same way as if they beat the Celtics tonight, they have home court next week. And who would have ever thought that the Knicks would have home court in the conference finals? Not the 2 guys on this show. No. No. And Jason Tatum injury notwithstanding, they have been sensational. And Mikal Bridges, I get 5 first-round picks, and that will always follow him. But if you get to the finals, 5 first-round picks is worth it every time. Now let's talk about the other team that was in the finals last year, who happened to, Nico Harrison, luck into some job security. Does the lottery work, Seth? I mean...
Well, I think the problem is this. The worst three teams. I get you want to tank. I understand like you're trying to avoid. But I think their winning percentage is less than 15%.
Yeah.
So you're going to have these weird anomalies like you did last year with Atlanta, like you did this year with Dallas. Because at 15%, there's no great.
Well, that was the goal, right? Adam Silver wanted to eliminate tanking. Well, guess what? He did that. That succeeded. Because tanking doesn't work. As if you tank, you're going to get the number 5 pick. We've established this already. I also don't want to hear that there is a conspiracy. Not one bit. That's BS. That's BS. That's garbage. But, yeah, Cooper Flagg saves Nico Harrison's job. Potentially saves basketball in Dallas, in that there were rumors of them moving to Las Vegas. Guarantee you that's not happening anymore. He fits very well with a healthy Anthony Davis, if that ever does occur. And he fits very well with a healthy Kyrie Irving.
If that ever.
So I got here's an interesting question to you. If Dallas calls up Milwaukee, or Milwaukee calls up Dallas, because Dallas isn't calling up Milwaukee, and says, hey, Dallas, Daniel Gafford, the number 1 pick in the draft, and some ballast whose name is to be determined, for Giannis. First of all, Nico would be thrown to the wolves. I get it. But until the Luka deal, I never thought that might happen either. What do you say if you're Nico? Do you hang up the phone?
I mean, he
said my window is 2 to 3 years.
Well, that gets Giannis, Davis, Irving, and Clay kind of gets you there.
And don't forget Derek Lively, right?
Correct. Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, this has been all going through my mind. Where this goes.
Anthony Davis on the same team.
Well, Anthony Davis then really does play the 4, right? He's a stretch 4.
Yes.
Right? Which is what he wants to play. Lively plays the rim runner along with Giannis.
So Giannis is playing 3?
Where else is he playing? Unless you're trading Lively in that deal, and you trade Lively and the number 1, which I guess you would have to do since the Bucks don't have picks until 2031. I mean, Milwaukee says yes in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Milwaukee gets Cooper Flagg. They say yes in a heartbeat. They get their I won't say salvation, but they get their starting they get their building block, right? That they can work with. First of all, Nico would be run out of town.
He was probably not happy about that. Cooper Flagg.
Oh, Cooper Flagg's miserable in that situation. He doesn't want to go to Milwaukee. At all. Okay. We got 5 minutes left. Would you like... We didn't talk any NFL for the second straight week, so congratulations to us. But we're going to talk... I'm going to do it in my last 5 minutes, so would you like to go first, or you want me to go?
Yeah,
I mean
the thing is when we talk for 55 minutes, at no point have we mentioned the NHL fight.
Nope.
It's really fun.
Yep.
I can see that.
saying please Dallas, hold on, please Dallas, hold on, because the idea of Winnipeg, Carolina, forgetting who else? Vegas. Pretty much, you're not exactly looking at the monster market. Yeah.
Oh.
That have left. So
You're talking about No, you either want Toronto or you really want Toronto, Dallas.
Correct.
That's what you want. If you're Gary Bettman, that's what you want.
That's what
By the way,
he's not I wonder if that's why the goal counted.
that is my worst nightmare. So I'm just saying that out loud. Okay.
Why is this worse?
Not Dallas. Well, because I think Toronto could be Dallas, and that's my worst nightmare. Is Toronto? Once the Rangers are gone, we just root against Toronto. We're until the draft where we get the number 1 pick. All right. Congratulations to Seth and Sean's franchise player Derrick Henry, that gets a 2-year, $30 million extension. Incredibly well worth it. We will be paying you an extra $5 to keep you this year. So we will give you an extension as well. Only 1 year. We don't bank on for 2. But congratulations to him. I get that Saquon is the best running back in football. He is. No question. Mm-hmm. Derrick Henry is quietly becoming one of the best running backs in NFL history, if you look at what he's done. And right, but my point is, he does it quietly, right? He is one of those guys, and this is not shut up and dribble at all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying he goes about his business. You like him because he does that. He contributes to the city in which he's in. And when you say athletes should not be role models, at the time that Charles Barkley said that, I didn't necessarily disagree with him. Today, I do. I think athletes should absolutely be role models. I think sports has become such a big part of nomenclature and everybody's lives. When the Super Bowl is the most watched event by 10 times in the year, there has to be something there. And he does it without any noise whatsoever. Now, Bill Belichick, good luck to you on Good Morning America this week. I will. Oh, did you not know that?
No, I didn't.
So Bill Belichick had an interview where he basically said, "You cannot talk about my girlfriend." So on one of the local channels. So the local channel reported after the interview and said, "We were told we could not ask about his girlfriend, because if not, then he was going to be asked, why didn't you ask about his girlfriend?" I am going to be very interested in whether Good Morning America has the same rules, because if they do, as Mike Florio said, they should just cancel this thing. You don't get the publicity without getting the scrutiny, and this is where you are. So I'm all for First Amendment, but it goes both ways. Okay, for Seth Kamens, who's over there, I'm Sean Palmer over here. Next week we'll do this in New Jersey. That's where I'm going. Lovely New Jersey. To Mark Rubin, I will talk to you next week. Have a good week, everybody. See ya. Hopefully. See ya, bud.